Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to you on Market Today at Business Today Television. I am Shail Bhatnagar joining to you from New Delhi. It's a power-packed Tuesday as far as markets are concerned. A series of events that might push the Nifty as well to a record high. Remember, yesterday's trade was immensely beneficial for the bulls, and we had a record high on the Bank Nifty. Will the Nifty follow suit? Yes, of course. Let's look at how the broad markets are structured and what is the schedule for market today as of Tuesday. We'll be joined by Mr. Dharmesh Kant. He is the head of equity research at Cholamandalam Securities in a few minutes from now, and a little later Osho Krishnan, senior research analyst at technical desk at Angel One Broking, will also be joining us. Let's now look at the Nifty daily chart. The index at 22,643 is just a whisker away from the all-time high of about 22,775, and given the indications that are coming from overseas, which is Wall Street, as also other markets such as bonds as well as commodities, and the trend in Asia as well as the GIFT Nifty move, it's quite likely that this week we'll see a fresh record high on the Nifty as well. The chart is right there in front of you. We are trading at a 2-week high on the Nifty, 22,643, as I mentioned, 223 points higher. There was a range expansion on Monday's trade, and we had seen the Nifty move in a range of about 213 points. Day's high 22,655 and the low of being 22,442. The index, as I said, closed near the day's highs. Now let's look at the broader picture. Remember, tomorrow, Wednesday, May 1st, is a holiday. Therefore, a lot of options premium will be squeezed today. We also have the weekly expiry of the Fin Nifty, which is already at a record high, and the Bank Nifty's weekly expiry, which is normally on a Wednesday, has been pulled a day in advance. Remember, the Bank Nifty rose 1,200 points yesterday to a fresh record high of 49,424. The intraday high for the Bank Nifty was 49,473. So a lot of momentum has been built up into both indices, and we will see a lot of activity on the long side. Now let's analyze the Nifty to begin with. If you look at yesterday's advanced decline ratio, there were 32 stocks in the Nifty, led primarily by private sector banks such as ICICI, Axis, to a fresh record high, and there were 18 stocks that slipped in the red. If you look at the Nifty PCR for the expiry that's ending on Thursday, it's fairly stable, 1.1, and if you look at the Nifty PCR for 30th May, that's also fairly stable at about 1.4, which essentially means that the bulls are in control. There is no sign of froth or excessive speculative activity on the Nifty, yet it is close to a record high, and that provides strength to bulls on Dalal Street. We've just discussed the range expansion. Let me just briefly tell you what's happened in the other markets which impact the Nifty positively. So gold is quiet at $23 at $23.34 to an ounce. There is little or no movement in the dollar index, as also the US 10-year bond yield, which is good for equities globally, and we have a strong move that is coming from Wall Street. So anything that could be positive for domestic equities is now on the green side. Now let's look at the Nifty option chain, where the entire genesis of this moves resides. If you look at the Nifty option chain, you have a very, very strong support coming in at 22,500 and at 22,550. There has been a fresh addition of puts by bulls, which essentially means that these levels have been strengthened further, and any dip towards that, whether it is 22,600, 22,550, should the Nifty give you an opportunity, it needs to be purchased. There has been a very, very strong addition of open interest at 22,500 and an equally good addition at 22,550 as far as bulls are concerned. Now let's look at the other side of the equation. Where is the Nifty headed? Most immediately, 22,700 is showing call unwinding by bears. That essentially means that whatever short positions were there in the market at higher levels, those have been taken out. and it means that the space has been created at 22,700 for bulls. You can see it from the point of view of unwinding of 6,59,000 calls at 22,700 and some sort of a similar unwinding at 22,900. For the moment, ladies and gentlemen, 22,850 is a very strong resistance for the bulls, but mostly it is coming. Now, what gives me more confidence as far as buying the 22,600 call or 22,550 call for May 9th is concerned is the heavy bout of short covering that's happening in the money options for calls within the Nifty option chain. That shows strength, that bears are taking away these positions and booking losses. Therefore, the Nifty will also rise on strong short covering by bears in ITM calls. Now, what are the stocks that we need to keep in mind? Well, there is a flurry of earnings that are expected today, 7 in particular from the F&O space. Let me give you some names as far as those earnings are concerned. We'll be having earnings from government companies such as RECL, IOC, Central Bank of India, and stocks such as Indus Stars, Exide Industries and Havells. Sectors that are bullish are indeed the auto space, PSU banks and private banks. A bit of a bearishness is creeping into the IT sector, which is all fine. The earnings that will come into the market, on which the markets will react, are from 3 companies. Tata Chemicals in particular, which because of a issue in its UK subsidiary has posted a quarterly loss because of an impairment that it has taken to the extent of 900 crores. So Tata Chemicals' fourth quarter loss was at 850 crores versus a profit of 709 crores. There is a very sharp dip in the EBITDA margins of Tata Chemicals that was mostly related to prices of soda ash. So Tata Chemicals is something that needs to be watched. The other interesting earnings are from Birlasoft, which announced a very strong uptick, about a 61% uptick in fourth quarter profit to about 180 crores, and the margin expanded to 16.3% from 13.6%. The company announced a dividend of 4 rupees per share as well. Striking earnings coming in from Poonawalla Fincorp. Profit after tax for the fourth quarter was up 84% at 640 crores versus 408 crores, and the NIMS, which is the net interest margin, also improved dramatically, actually minorly, from 11.03% to 11.30%. So these are the broad moves that are likely to happen as far as earnings reaction is concerned, which is Tata Chemicals, Birlasoft and Poonawalla Fincorp. We are expecting 7 earnings from F&O stocks, which I have already enumerated. There is no Nifty company reporting earnings today, but tomorrow is the chance of Ambuja Cement. Remember, we had a very strong flow from Ultratech Cement, so that is something to be looked at. Dharmesh ji will be joining us shortly. The PCR is doing an audio check with him. Dharmesh Kant, Head of Equity Research at Cholamandalam Securities, should be with us in a while. What are the other basic stocks that should be reacting? One is KPIT Technologies. Remember, the company had declared a strong set of earnings before Monday, and Goldman Sachs, the very well-known foreign institutional investor, has raised its target price to 1900 rupees per share for KPIT Technologies, based primarily on the kind of outperformance in revenue that it has shown, 22% revenue growth coming in as far as Goldman Sachs is concerned for Birlasoft. The other brokerage report to look at is again from Goldman Sachs. This is on PNB Housing. The target price has been reduced to 650, although the company announced a very strong number, which is an operational beat, and competition-led pressure on profitability, which continues. Dharmesh ji has joined us. A very good morning to you, Mr. Kant. Let's just analyze yesterday's move, simply because markets are understood in hindsight and worked upon in the future. The Nifty now close to a record high, a stunning rally in the bank Nifty. Is this a pre-election result kind of a move that you are seeing by the market, or is this something more to it? Good morning to you. I think Dharmesh, you are on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
I don't think I am on mute. Can you hear me
Please
now?
continue, sir.
I don't think I am on mute. Can you hear me now? Yeah, thank you so
We
much.
can hear you. Please continue, sir.
Yeah, good morning all. Good morning, Shailji. I don't think this is more to do with the election, results. So, the votings are still in process, and the earnings so far, if you look at the financials, uh, they have been doing pretty well. IT has been on the sidelines, particularly the large cap IT counters. They did not do well, and it was expected. If you remember my commentary for the last 2 months, I was always referring to a problem in the IT space. However, mid and small caps, select pockets like Cyient, DNM, Birlasoft, KPIT Technologies came out with a good set of numbers. So that has been rewarded. What happens, Shailji, if a decent set of numbers is there on backdrop of some bad numbers? So the decent looks pretty good. And that is what is happening into the market. Some trading built up is definitely there, as you have suggested, because of the election ongoing process on. So that is also happening. But the liquidity flow on the domestic side has been particularly strong. And this is there for the last 1 year. What we have been noticing is the liquidity flow is extremely strong. And that is what is pushing the market ahead. Wherever there is visibility of consistency in earnings growth, it may not be better. Valuations are stretched. But if even if it is consistent and it's likely to be so, people are putting money in those companies and those counters.
Okay, this is primarily the discussion that Dharmesh ji has mentioned on Axis Bank and ICICI Bank. Remember, Axis reported its quarterly earnings last week. The stock has been in very sharp motion, already a record high, and ICICI Bank reported its earnings for the fourth quarter on Saturday. The stock reacted very positively on Monday, and both corporate banks, coupled with India's largest lender, State Bank of India, whose earnings are yet to come, are at record highs. So all these three stocks, SBI, ICICI and Axis, at a record high. A very strong move coming into the PSU banking basket has all put together has resulted in the Nifty bank at a record as far as prices are concerned. Dharmesh ji, before we take this conversation forward, any one or two stocks that you think based on their fundamental performance and price action represent an opportunity for investors to add to their portfolio for the medium term?
Yeah, very tough choices out there. But I do think like PFC and REC does offer you a good valuation comfort compared to how the peers have run up in the basket. Look at IDA, how fast they have run up, and it's a safe space. And the good part about PFC is that the erstwhile problem of discoms not paying them is overthrown. If you look at the NPA levels, the gross NPA is now down to 3% and native NPA less than 1%. And I do think that with the expansion in power capacity which is happening, these two companies are likely to benefit well. So PFC is a better bet compared to RSC. That's a preferred choice. But both are looking good. So one can play with buy position, not only from trading perspective, but also from investment perspective. Because you are getting these companies at 20 plus ROEs and a PE multiple of 5-6 times 1 year or 2 year forward. So that's a good valuation comfort with a good dividend yield of 2.5 to 3%.
Okay, REC, ladies and gentlemen, will also be reporting its fourth quarter earnings today. So these are the two stocks from the PSU power financing basket that we will keep in mind. Just a couple of stocks that are in the news because of the kind of news that has come in from markets closed yesterday to before markets open today. Two railway stocks, RVNL and RITES. RVNL has got a letter of acceptance for about 438 crore order from Southern Railway, and its PSU railway compatriot RITES has won an order of $111 million from the Bangladeshi railway setup to provide coaches. Dharmesh ji, anything in the railway pack that catches your attention? The entire pack, including the 6 PSU stocks plus wagon makers and bearing makers, were in thick of trade Monday.
Yes, I mean, railway pack, we have been consistently recommending from the infra space, and two stocks which we have been consistent about is one is RBNL and the other is Ircon International. So order flows are trickling in for the entire basket, and it will keep on trickling in, and all the companies are likely to do well. But we found a better comfort as far as fundamentals and research is concerned in these two companies, where we do think valuations now do appear on the higher side, but the type of growth trajectory these companies are going to embark on is likely to continue. So what we are expecting is around 25% kind of a CAGR on the top line and bottom line for both these companies for the next 2-3 years. And particularly for RVNL, the management is very bullish about reaching 1 lakh crore kind of an order book. And sensing the way the railway budget has moved in the last 5 years, it's almost 5x. And 3 lakh crores of annual expense is likely to be expected when this time the budget is rolled out. So the company is going to largely benefit from there. And it's a huge overall as well as new capacity expansion which will be taking place in that space. So the space was very attractive. But our preferred two top picks are RBNL and Ircon. We are expecting at least around 25 to 30% kind of a stock price appreciation for 1 year to 1.5 year perspective.
Okay, fair point. Dharmesh ji, let's just go back in time and try and analyze earnings of ICICI Bank and Axis Bank. What did you find heartening, and are there any pain points or potholes ahead which might disturb short-term investors in both these stocks?
Actually, I don't think there is any pain point out there. The results were quite as per expectation, with top line revenue growing by more than 20%. And good part was deposit growth was also in line with the kind of an AUM growth these two banks are witnessing, which is very, very important for them. Asset quality remains contained, and NIMs 10-5 basis point here and there was expected, and but that was also in line. So NII expansion was also good, and the book of both the companies are very granular in nature, so there is no specific concentration happening out there. Corporate side has been slow, so and now you have to look ICICI and Axis Bank in the light of the development which has happened with the earnings of say HDFC Bank and Kotak Bank, the regulatory problem which is there. So choices on the top tier space becomes more limited. And this top tier space will continue to see traction going forward, because what I do believe is RBI will get more and more stricter with NBFC, fintechs, and the space. So the incremental growth which they were witnessing will also move to the top tier banks. So the three banks which stands out and which has the stock price of which has been performing well is Axis Bank, ICICI Bank, and SBI. So we will stick to that for the next 3-4 months. Let the monsoon starts, and if the monsoon is normal, then you will have another round of opportunity for lower NBFCs and all to get invested into, because they get to the vulnerable section of the society, and the heat wave has been very strong. Any slippage in monsoon will be very, very detrimental for those set of companies. So we are avoiding that space. However, financials we are still bullish on, and they're the top tier banks like ICICI, Axis, and SBI. And just to answer your question, I did not find anything disturbing or alarming going forward as far as the earnings update was concerned.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our PCR is firing long-term charts of ICICI and Axis. They've performed remarkably well. I'll just mark the prices for you. State Bank of India is up a whopping 28% at 826 on a year-to-date basis. That is between 31st December and 29th of April. ICICI Bank has added 16.4 and Axis Bank has added 5.2% to its year-to-date tally. So you can well imagine the kind of catch-up that Axis Bank has to play between ICICI and SBI. Dharmesh, SBI has moved ahead of its earnings. Do you think it's overstretched, or this is par for the course? Within the top 5 banks, perhaps SBI provides the maximum valuation comfort.
I think valuation now for SBI, historically, it has moved to the upper end of the band because as a public sector banking unit, historically, trading near 2 times price to book value is something which is expensive. But I think more than the earnings and the result flow, which is expected going forward, or the better earnings, the move has largely to do with some kind of a windfall gain, which may happen to SBI in case they decide to take a exit on the Yes Bank investment. So whether it will be in full part or on a staggered manner, that has to be seen. And it's almost more than double. The investments have already done pretty well for all the consortium of banks who have put their money into, and SBI was the largest one. And I think, but it has more to do with that kind of expectation from the market. Otherwise, I don't think there's anything wrong will come with the numbers for SBI. But valuation side, it's now getting into that discomfort zone. However, it's likely to continue the price momentum on the upside.
Okay, now let me just recap everything that's happening in the banking space. Strong earnings by 2 corporate banks, which is ICICI and Axis. Very, very strong price action in both these stocks, coupled with State Bank of India. That has resulted in the Bank Nifty hitting a record high of about 49,424. And let's see how prices are opening now. The session is right upon us. It's Tuesday, so Mangalwar hai to Mangal to hoga hi. It's a blowout, ladies and gentlemen. The prices will settle. I so wish we see a 200-point gap up, but this one will settle down. For the moment, 22,822 on the Nifty. Please enjoy this number. Now let's look at stocks that are prompting this very sharp move. I want to see what the 3 heavyweights are doing. We'll start with the HDFC Bank. The counter is 24 rupees higher at 1552. How about Infosys? 10 rupees 25 higher at 1445. Reliance, it's flat a bit, 3 rupees higher, 2933. Record highs were seen on SBI, ICICI and Axis. Let's check them out. SBI is rupee 50 higher, 828. ICICI Bank is rupee 75 higher, 1163. And how about Axis Bank? That should rise more dramatically. Axis Bank is, yes, almost 11 rupees higher at 1170. We'll take a quick detour into the FNO space and look at top gainers here. Ahead of earnings, Indus Stars 3% higher, 362. Post earnings, Birla Soft 2.2% higher, 690. Strong move coming into Ultratech, 2.3% higher, 10,200. Remember, there's a series of brokerage reports from top and blue chip brokerage companies that have raised the price target of Ultratech substantially. Also, what else looks interesting to me? Let's look at the most active counters. Tata Chem. Yes, this is a bit of a pain point, 10% lower, 989. Remember, Tata Chemicals swung to a loss from profit in the 4th quarter because of an impairment loss in its UK operations that is acting negatively for the country. Let's look at BSE 500. Again, it's UCO Bank down 7%, 54. Nothing much to report here in terms of losers. Let's look at the top gainers. Okay, earnings led Gillette 6% higher, 6600. Poonawalla FinCorp 6% higher, 518. We'll be discussing this shortly. Anything else that's moving that I should point out? We'll keep an eye out on this. The Nifty is now a sensible 61 points higher, 22,702. There is a possibility that we'll hit a record high, say in the first half of trade, but we'll keep an eye out on that. Dharmeshji, coming back at you, very strong earnings coming in from top end NBFCs, Poonawalla FinCorp in particular. How do you analyze that? Profit after tax was up 84%, 640 crores, sir.
Actually, Poonawalla FinCorp, post the management takeover, has been doing exceedingly well, and the management is very aggressive. Going forward, I think this traction is likely to continue. What they have benefited as well is from the RBL Bank, the disturbance in RBL Bank, which happened a year back. So that kind of, because the business area for both these companies are almost the same. It's on the Maharashtra side, and they have been getting traction very well. I do think this traction is likely to continue. So now the valuation multiples do look stretched, but if the company's profitability is going more than 50% and they are maintaining a disbursement run rate of more than 35%, so this is likely to continue. So what I would suggest is, if somebody is holding it, they can continue to hold the company. At the same time, if you are having a holding period of more than 2 years or 3 years, so from here also, the type of run rate this company is on, it's likely to be around 70 to 80% kind of an upside on the stock prices, likely to be there. It's a portfolio stock which you should be having it in your portfolio if you are bullish on the NBFC space.
Okay, Dharmeshji, Mr. Osho Krishnan, Senior Research Analyst for Technical Research at Angel One Stockbroking, is also with us. A pleasure to welcome you, Osho. Your two stocks that you feel might outperform the already bullish sentiment on Dalal Street, and how do you see the Bank Nifty?
Very good morning, Shail. Yes, overall the markets are looking very positive. Bank Nifty, as I remember, we have discussed on the last Thursday of expiry day. On that day, the market has given a very strong surprise to us by giving a very strong breakout on the Nifty. And from there onwards, I was expecting that Nifty should be the first counter that should test the lifetime high levels, but Bank Nifty has definitely outperformed. So majority of the counters from banking space are looking very positive. So coming for the technical picks, my first pick is from the banking space only. Indian Bank is looking very positive. If I have to say on the technical front, last trading session it has been a very strong breakout of on the charts of Indian Bank. So I'm expecting the momentum to continue from here onwards. But we need to wait for first half an hour to price get settled down around the zone of 550, 545 should be the apt level for accumulating Indian Bank. Overall, I am expecting a target of nearly 580 to 590 in the short term period. So overall chart structure for Indian Bank is looking very promising. It has given a breakout. So there can be a strong room on the higher end that can be expected. On the lower end, 538 should be kept as a stop loss for short term trader. And any range between 550 to 555 should be seen as a accumulation zone. The other counter which is looking very positive is NBCC. NBCC is looking very good. It has given a very strong breakout. It has retested the previous swing high in the last trading session, and in the last two sessions, if I have to tell you on the technical front, it has seen a very strong traction on the buying front. So I'm expecting the momentum to continue in NBFC. On the higher end, the target that I'm expecting is around 151, and on the downside, 135 should be seen as a stop.
Okay, NBCC and Indian Bank, both from the PSU basket, are catching Osho's interest on the long side. We'll take a view on the Nifty. Now 22,670, ladies and gentlemen. It's opening flat as flat can be, 35 points higher. Remember, these were the indications that were coming from the GIFT Nifty as well. Yesterday's rally, coupled with the fact that from a most recent low of about 21,770, the index has rallied 1,000 points. And this too in a less than span of 10 working sessions. We'll just also pay attention to a couple of stocks in the Nifty, Osho. Your very quick view on State Bank of India ahead of its earnings, already a record high. Where do you see it headed?
The overall SBI has given definitely a very strong breakout in the last week. On Thursday, approximately 79800 was the zone where it has seen a very strong breakout. And for now, there has been very strong traction that can be seen in SBI. So PSU banks are looking very narrative, and even from here onwards, if I have to be very specific on the levels, then I'll be not very much optimistic or very much aggressive on the higher end, but I'm expecting 835, 838 should be the immediate resistance that can be seen in SBI. But overall structure is very positive. Any dip towards the zone of 810 should be arguing very well for the buyers, and nearly 835 to 840 should be the target for short-term traders.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the pre-open rates have settled. We'll just take a very quick detour into how prices have moved, and again I'll come back to my analyst panel. Defense. Let's look at stocks that are moving up. Zentech, this is the drone maker, 1.87% higher, 1085. Amongst the railway stocks, I'm watching out for RITES, 2.7% higher, 705. The company's won an order of $111 million to supply wagons to Bangladesh Railway. Okay, ahead of earnings, IOC is 1.8% higher, almost at 180. PNB Housing is in strength, 1.5% higher, 814.60. One very quick look at high beta. I just want to see some stocks that are outperforming. Poonawalla FinCorp, 3.9% higher, 507.80. Canfin Homes, 3.2% higher, 770. This is a question to you, Dharmeshji. What do you make of the stunning set of earnings that Ultratech Cement announced yesterday? The price, of course, is now around 10,000 rupees, but what can be done? Bhav Bhagwan hai. How do you see this performance, and what is your view on Ultratech over the next 1 year?
So initially the view is positive. I mean, the volume growth is the only driver, and that is happening for most of the cement companies. So double-digit kind of a volume growth is expected going forward. Only aspect is the price realization. So blended realization, I don't think they were in a position to take a hike. Whenever they have taken, then back-ended they have given the dealers discount, and the net impact has been unknown impact on the blended realization front. So that is likely to be a scenario going forward for all these cement majors. Whatever capacity expansion is coming on will be absorbed because the demand has been very high in the infra push, both from the construction and the government space, as well as now the real estate space from the private sector has picked up pretty well. The only caveat or the worry point is the input prices. We have seen petcoke prices gone up in the international market. So that's likely to have some kind of a margin dilution kind of an impact. We have seen EBITDA per ton for Ultratech being a bit benign on a quarter-on-quarter basis. Also, though on a year-on-year basis, it looked very strong. But if you look at on a sequential basis, there has been a slight dip. And this, even if it stays there, nothing wrong. But in case there is a better hit, I mean 2 or 3% kind of a hit on the margins, which I do think is likely to be a scenario 6 months going forward, then this upside is likely to be capped. So the thing with cement companies, particularly with Ultratech, ACC, and the likes, are that downside is restricted because of the volume expansion which is happening. At the same time, because of the margin limitation or coming in for some squeeze because of the input pressure, upside is also likely to be restricted. So it's likely to be in a band.
Okay, remember Ultratech Cement had announced a 13% rise in volume sales on a very high base year on year. That itself points to the kind of capex expansion that's happening across the Indian economy, and that seems to be heartening. No reason otherwise why the stock would open almost 200 rupees higher. Osho, a quick view on Ultratech?
See, overall, on technical front, it is on a broadening space. So it is forming a higher highs and a lower lows. So I mean 10,250 to 10,300, which is the immediate resistance for Ultratech. Then after that only there can be some strong traction that can be seen. But today there can be some kind of volatility that can persuade these levels on the higher front, but on sustainability, 10,300 is the zone which we have to see. And once it sustains above 10,300, then from there onwards there can be a strong surge in this counter. The immediate target on the higher end can be approximately near to 10,550 to 10,600.
Okay, we still have 3 minutes left. Dharmeshji, this comes to you. I'll be failing in my duty if I don't ask you about Maruti and the kind of very sharp rallies that we are seeing in Eicher, Hero Motors. Of course, Bajaj Auto has been an outperformer. What is your view on the entire auto OEM space?
Auto OEM space is, we are very bullish on that, and this is likely to continue. I mean, if you go and check with dealers out there, any showroom you go, be it in the listed space or non-listed space, the inquiries is very robust, and salesmen don't have time to cater to you. There's a waiting time across the board. So that is the type of, excitement which is there in the auto space. Car sales are very hot, and it's likely to continue so that. So there won't be any disappointment on the volume growth side. So numbers will keep on tackling, but we are more focused on auto ancillary space. And there, I think if you play a good mix of EVs with auto ancillary manufacturers, there is a better traction happening out there. To name a few, Minda Corp, JBM Auto, Bharat Forge, and all looks very attractive in that space. Maruti remains the topic along with Tata Motors, remains the topic in the four-wheeler space.
Okay, because we are talking about the auto ancillary space, there is an update that's coming from Electra Green. Remember, this is the company based out of Hyderabad that makes electric buses. The company says it plans to increase production slowly, starting with 200 units in a quarter and doubling it in quarter 2 and then increasing it significantly in Q3 and Q4. It's targeting 5,000 units by the end of March 2025. It's actually doubling it from 2,500 to 5,000 units and 10,000 units by year 2. So that's a very, very strong statement of intent coming in from Electra Green. Let's see how much the stock has opened up. I just want to see the snap quote. Okay, it's about 0.5% higher. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the prices are upon us. Let's take a look at them. 31 points higher on the Nifty, flat on Bank Nifty. Remember, it's the Bank Nifty's weekly expiry today. The IT index opens about 44 rupees lower, nothing to be worried about. Let's look at the entire index heavyweight space and find out what's sticking in the green. Okay, today's move is led by Reliance, 9 rupees higher, 29.39. How about HDFC Bank, 2 rupees down, 15.26. Infosys, 3 rupees down, 14.31. So 2 out of 3 index heavyweights are in the red. That exactly is not beneficial for the bulls, but the Nifty is still 31 points higher. What is pulling the Nifty higher? Tata Motors, 2.5 rupees higher, 1,003. Bajaj Finance, 22 rupees higher, 68.45. Remember, this stock was beaten black and blue after its fourth quarter earnings disappointed last week. Okay, Lever, 5 rupees higher, Hindustan Unilever, 22.30. Kotak Bank showing signs of life, 5 rupees higher, 16.45. Axis Bank in the green, 11.62. ICICI Bank in the red, 3 rupees lower, 11.56. Let's very quickly look at earnings, boys, and see what's happening. Okay, Poonawalla FinCorp, 2.5% higher, 501. Gillette, 4% higher, 64.50. Let's look at Tata Chemicals. That's very sensible. Just 3.5% higher, 1,064. Remember, the counter is already around its 200-day moving average. What's sticking in the F&O space? We'll do a very quick detour there and then get to Osho Krishnan. Earnings boy Trent, the numbers came during market hours yesterday, 4% higher, almost 4,500 for you. Ultratech Cement flat, 99.69. Birla Soft, mild weakness despite very strong earnings. That's okay. 1.6% lower, 663. Okay, IOC ahead of earnings, 1.2% higher, 179. Tata Power in good shape, almost 450 rupees for you. NMDC, the company's raised prices of ore and fines. It's now up 1.6%, 259. Trent is what is taking it away. Osho, very quickly, do we catch to this rally or we wait?
See, basically, trend is looking very positive. One should definitely try to gauge the momentum because after approximately 2.5 months of consolidation, this counter have started gaining traction. And again, after the results, there has been a strong movement that was expected, and near about 4,500, 4,600 is the zone where it has seen a very strong breakout. So I'm expecting that from here onwards, there can be strong traction in the coming period. But overall, on the lower end, one should be maintain a stop loss around the zone of 40 to 80, and on the higher end, I am expecting a target of nearly 4,700 in a very short term time frame.
Okay, a couple of more points that I'd like to highlight are the all-time highs that we see in the F&O stocks. So we've discussed Trent, it's Axis Bank, Grasim, Jindal Steel and Power, Tata Power and Havells. Remember, Havells is also the earnings boy for today. Within the F&Os, within the 500 space, Nifty 500, Lemon Tree 1.3% higher, 151 is at a record high. The other stocks we've already discussed, the price ticket sadly very high. Let's look at the broader markets. Advanced decline ratio at the beginning of trade, ladies and gentlemen, is a very strong 1476 stocks in the green compared with 385 on the red on the National Stock Exchange. It's a sea of green. The momentum is now spreading across markets led by the Nifty Auto Index, the top gainer 1.2% higher, 22,350. We track 19 indices for you, ladies and gentlemen. All 19 are in the green. Coming to you, Dharmesh ji, anything that catches your fancy on the opening that we've had? Maybe Trent?
Yeah. I mean, the opening is good, and the companies which have done better earnings have been rewarded. Trend I would like to avoid because now, I mean, rationally, the justification looks very difficult to the kind of stock price appreciation which we have seen. And it's in a kind of a business where, I mean, it can only be through our growth, which is subject to 15 or 16%. I mean, same store sales growth cannot go beyond that. There's a physical limitation to that. And the price segment is also where the margins are not great out there. So they have done pretty well on the business side. It's a complete turnaround, and the business strategy has worked out for them. But price-wise, I'd like to give it a pass. Rather, I would concentrate on, the companies on the infra space, power space, and construction space. So those are the key areas where the focus is on, and buying on declines is the strategy in this market because things are very heated up.
Okay, fair point. And absolutely in sync with what Dharmesh ji is saying, there is a new high on the Nifty mid cap 100 index. Let's see that in action. Now above 51,000, ladies and gentlemen, 0.33% higher. I think the Nifty mid cap index has rallied for the sixth day in a row. Yes, the rally is from a low of 47,950 on April 19th, and by April 30th we are at 51,032. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the power of a bull market right there in front of you. It's the Fin Nifty's expiry today. Let me just see what the Fin Nifty is doing. The futures, remember, had a blowout yesterday. Again, a record high here. We see 21,842, about 21%, 21 rupees higher. The Bank Nifty is flat as flat can be. Remember, its weekly expiry has been pulled a day in advance today. Okay, Osho, anything that catches your fancy? We've had the first 5 minutes of trade. What looks good?
See, overall, there are counters like because
Osho, this was
a strong traction in the recent period, and after consolidation, a strong traction in the onwards, there can be some strong movement in the coming period. So,
okay.
there can be some strong movement in the coming period. So,
there's a network issue at Mr. Krishnan's, and we'll try and sort that out for you. Meanwhile, there's no stopping Tata Motors. I remember, Dharmeshji, you talking about this as your favorite counter in the auto space. Mr. Elon Musk's visit that was cancelled in India seems to have rubbed very well on Tata Motors. Now we see 1017 in the cash futures market, about 1% higher. How do you see Tata Motors? We've had a very, very strong rally on this one in 2023.
Still the rally is likely to continue for Tata Motors because the JLR business has been doing particularly well. And there are three key markets for the JLR business. One is US, second one is Europe, and the third one is China. With China picking up and showing signs of recovery, this is a very good news for Tata Motors. And now the play on Tata Motors is more to do with the demerger, which will take place in a year or so time frame. So there is segregation of PV and CV is likely to do well for Tata Motors. SOTP kind of a valuation we did for Tata Motors based on both the businesses, and a conservative estimate for the target price comes to be around 1400. So still plenty of scope for Tata Motors to keep on catching up to that target price, and we think it will play out over a year and so. So it's a straightforward buy from our end, and all these passenger vehicle segments has been doing particularly well.
Okay, it's a rare day, ladies and gentlemen. I am seeing so many buys coming on many of my software. So the broader trend seems to be now getting strength. Let me just check what's happening as far as the advance decline ratio is concerned within the Nifty 500. That will give you an idea as to what the traders are thinking. Okay. Out of 500 stocks, ladies and gentlemen, 357 are in the green. Osho's joined us. I think the network problem has been solved. Osho, what looks good to you in the market? Very strong advanced decline ratios. I think autos are taking it today. Hero Motors 45.42. This is showing strength. Eicher Motors is 1.75% higher. Strong move that is coming in at Escorts as well. What looks good to you?
See, overall from auto sector, Hero Motor and TVS are looking very positive to me because both of the counters have recently seen a very strong traction and is now moving a bit above the zone of 21-day exponential moving average. So I'm expecting that from here onwards, there can be some strong momentum that can be seen in these counters. But for today, the thematic moves is mostly in line towards the pharma companies and healthcare companies. So there has been a strong breakout in stocks like Lupin, Oro Pharma in the last trading session, and now again they have started gaining traction. So I'm expecting that Lupin can see a very strong up move from here onwards. Currently, it is hovering near the zone of 1650 odd levels, but I'm expecting on the higher end 1680 and 1690 should be seen as the immediate target for this counter. While on the lower end, the support is placed around the zone of 1620. So many of the pharma and healthcare companies are looking positive, and I am expecting that the momentum should continue in these companies for at least 1 to 2 trading sessions.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are now at 9:26. I think the theme that is working in the market is the power space. We have Tata Power 1% higher, 456.80. Let's look at the entire basket of power stocks. That will give you an idea. Okay, I want to see what NTPC is doing, and NTPC at the moment is up 0.3% at 366. Two stocks that were mentioned by Dharmeshji. Power Finance Corporation, that is also in the long side of trade today. At the moment, Power Finance Corporation is 1% higher, 421, and RECL ahead of its earnings, 473, 1.3% higher is what is making the chart stick on the green side. Tata Motors taking it away. I think, Osho, would you step in on Tata Motors? Strong move in the initial 10 minutes of trade. Open interest is still flat. But 1017, what are the charts of Tata Motors telling you?
See, for Tata Motors, obviously the counter is looking very positive on the charts, but again on the higher end, we are expecting a resilience near the zone of 1020 odd levels. So I'm expecting that this can be seen as the very strong hurdle. The time it surpasses the zone of 1020 on a sustainable basis, then from there onwards, we can see approximately 30 points of upside movement in Tata Motors. So approximately 1050 should be the target. But for the time being, one should wait for a breakout above the zone of 1020, else overall the range lies around the zone of 995 to 1020. So buy on dip and sell on rise should be the approach for the time being, but the time it surpasses the zone of 1020, then from there onwards one can become aggressive in this counter for targets of 1050.
Okay, fair point. Let's also look at some other spaces that are ticking in the green. I have a sharp move coming in tire stocks. Let's look what Apollo Tyres doing. This is, remember, the top gainer, 5063.4% higher. There is short covering happening because open interest has slipped 1.4% lower. This is something to be looked at. A blowout happening on Mahindra and Mahindra. This is the SUV maker doing phenomenally well. I would presume 2129 is a record high, and these are the two stocks that almost move in sync, Tata Motors and Mahindra. Open interest is 1% higher, and we haven't even finished the first 15 minutes of trade. What else is clicking which we can discuss with our friend Osho? I think Maruti, 1.6% higher. Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be an auto day. I think the Nifty auto index is at a record high. Let me just check this. Osho, meanwhile, your view on Maruti, 2% higher, and we've already seen 13,000 a couple of days back.
See, overall, Maruti has been into a very stellar bull run, and it is hovering above all its exponential moving averages. But the main technical setup or observation that I have, that the time it tests the zone of 21 DEMA, then from there onwards it always keeps a bounce from there onwards. So the 21 day exponential moving average is acting as a very strong support zone for Maruti, while on the higher end, again, 13,000 is the zone where one can expect some kind of resilience, being a psychological mark. Again, auto companies are approximately around the zone of overbought territory, so there should be some kind of resilience that can be seen. But the time it surpasses the zone of 13,000 on a decisive manner, then some short covering can trigger a rally in this counter towards the zone of 13,200 on immediate basis. But for the timing, it's better to maintain a pragmatic approach or have a caution around the zone of 13,000. If we see any kind of dip towards 12,600 or 700, that should be arguing very well for the buyers. But at present, one should maintain a cautious stance. The time it breaches 13,000 on a decisive manner, then one can become aggressive for another 250 points of movement.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we've had the first 15 minutes of trade. I just want to analyze the high and low of the Nifty. That will give you an idea as to which side the markets will move whenever that high or low is breached. Okay, the high for today is 22,700 and the low is 22,661. Remember, the Nifty is now in a narrow trading band after Monday's very sharp rally of 213 points, plus the fact that you have the weekly expiry of the of the Nifty Bank and the Nifty Fin Nifty, and tomorrow is a holiday. So yes, I think we have a breakout. It's 22,700. What we'll do, ladies and gentlemen, since Osho is with us, I'll request the PCR to fire the 22,700 Nifty call expiring 9th of May. Remember, this is now at 181 rupees. We'll wait for this chart to come on air. The 22,700 Nifty call expiring on May 9th. Osho, would you step in here?
Certainly, yes. Nifty 22,700 for the next week expiry is looking very positive, because overall the trend for markets are looking very positive. Currently, it is hovering near the zone of 185, but I would suggest that if there can be any kind of correction or any kind of cool off towards the zone of 160-65, that should be acting as a very strong accumulation zone for 22,700 call option. Overall structure is very positive, but the only concern for the day is, as you have already mentioned, Bank Nifty is having its expiry followed by Fin Nifty, and both the PCRs for Bank Nifty and Fin Nifty are at very high. So there can be some kind of long unwinding that can be happening in Bank Nifty for the day. So that might keep some pressure on Nifty for the timing. But from the coming days, there can be a strong surge on the higher end. So that's why I am expecting that there should be some kind of cool off in the options premium. Once it subsides near the zone of 160.65, then one should try to accumulate it for next week expiry.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll wait for the Nifty to test its low, which is 22,660, and then we'll again look at this call. Remember, we are tracking 22,700 Nifty call expiring on May 9th. Now, what else is sticking? Ladies and gentlemen, we have a crisis of plenty today. Look at the advanced decline ratio even within the Nifty, 35 versus 15. Look at the advanced decline ratio in mid cap. 73 stocks are in the green out of 100. The small cap is even more bullish. 76 stocks out of 100 are in the green. How about the Nifty 500? Strength here as well. About 360 stocks out of 500 are in the green. And meanwhile, what has also happened is that there has been a digit change in airlines Indigo. Now 4,000, ladies and gentlemen, I see the price right there in front of me. The all-time high was yesterday, which was 4,010. Osho, what are the long-term charts of Interglobe Aviation telling you?
See, overall, this counter is looking very strong. But if I have to say about on the monthly perspective, this counter has already surged 12% on weekly. It just have started, but it's still again 1.5% on the higher front. But looking at the overall technical developments, this counter is into a overbought terrain. So one should not be very much aggressive. Again, 4,000 is a very strong psychological mark. So there will be strong compiling of writing positions on the call front will be happening on 4,000. So that might be acting as a resilience for this counter. While on the downside, 3,800 is the very strong support zone for this Indigo. So I'm expecting that it should hover within a range with buy on dip and sell on rise kind of a, approach. But the time it breaches the zone of 4,000 on a decisive manner, because it has attempted to breach the same zone yesterday also, but again by approximately 10 to 20 points, but again it has came down. So I'm expecting until it surpasses 4,040 odd levels on the spot front, then only we can see some aggressive buying in this counter. Else that levels will be acting as a very strong resistance zone for the short term period.
Okay, we had taken Trent as our first technical call when it opened 4% higher. It's gaining strength now, 7.2% higher, and it's accompanied by a 4% rise in open interest. Strong volumes also coming into its cash counter. Would you want to reanalyze Trent, Osho?
See, overall, at present, the risk reward is not favorable, but I'm expecting the target of 4,700 to be seen in Trent in the coming period. So, aggressive traders can obviously follow the can ride the momentum for 4,700 of target, but for fresh accumulation, it is not advisable to accumulate this at present levels. On the lower front, 4,480, 4,500 is the zone where one should try to accumulate this counter, approximately 2.5% on the lower front. But structure wise, the structure has seen upshift on the higher end. So I'm expecting now the support has shifted towards the zone of 4,280, 4,300 zone on a broader time frame. And on the higher end, the time it breaches 4,700, then we can see another set of rally towards 5,000 odd levels. But for the time being, 43 to 4,700 is the range for Trent.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, for those who believe that only mid caps show compounding interest in compounding gains, remember Trent over the last 12 months has appreciated by 226%. So that is what happens when you study fundamental earnings and then ride the fantastic numbers that are coming up. I think the Adani Group stocks are in action today on the long side. Let me mark a few of them as far as prices are concerned. Okay, we track 10 stocks from that group, and 9 of them are in the green, led by Adani Wilmar, 2.9% higher, 353. Adani Power, 3% higher, 615. ACC, a percent higher, 2550. And of course Adani Ports, a percent higher. We have 1327. Remember, it's the entire power space which is clicking in the green. Adani Ports, Adani Power that I just mentioned, 616. Tata Power at a record high. You have, what I'll do is, let me just check the BSC Power Index. Okay, and let's look at all-time highs here. Okay, Tata Power definitely. How about 52-week highs? Okay, let's look at top gainers here. JSW Energy, 3.7% higher, 624. You have CESE, which is also at a fresh high. Then power producers from the government side, NHPC, almost 1% higher, 94 rupees 10 paisa. Adani Power, Tata Power are also in the green. So that's how the power sector is moving. Any favorites here, Osho, within the power space?
See, from power space, Tata Power is obviously looking very positive. It has given a breakout also, and it is following a very strong momentum. But I'm expecting that the follow-up should be seen in majority of the other counters. Like NTPC is also looking very positive to me. So I'm expecting NTPC from a risk-reward point of view is looking more lucrative at current levels. So even for fresh accumulations, one can definitely look for NTPC, because the time it breaches the zone of nearly 368 zone, there onwards we can see a very strong upsurge in this counter. So 368 is the immediate resistance, or can be seen as a breakout levels. On the lower end, 360, 359 should be seen as the strong support zone. So risk reward is very much favorable in NTPC, but Tata Power is having a very strong momentum. So one should even look for riding the momentum in Tata Power also. So power sector is very positive for the time being. As you have mentioned, Adani Power. So Adani Power in the last 2 weeks has been consolidating and was into a cool off phase for the last 2 weeks. But in today's session, we are witnessing a very strong resurgence in Adani Power also. From 21 day exponential moving average, it is reversing from a very strong support zone. So that is looking very lucrative. One can definitely try to gauge momentum in Adani Power on the higher end. 640 to 645 should be seen as the immediate target.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have a breakout on the Nifty. Now 22,710. We will again revisit the 22,700 call that we had just spoken about at 149 rupees. It's now spiked to 195 rupees. That is how, ladies and gentlemen, options moves are trapped as far as momentum is concerned. Let's look at the pullers and draggers on the Nifty, which are contributing to this rally. So we have M&M and Maruti contributing 21 and 8 points respectively in the green. Reliance, the index heavyweight, more than 11% weightage, is contributing 7 points. Tata Motors and Bajaj Auto, okay, 5 and 5 points respectively. So it's the auto space, as I had pointed out. We'll also try and draw the Nifty Auto Index for you, ladies and gentlemen. It's a very, very solid breakout that has happened on the auto index. It's the top performing sectoral play, as also the main draw today, up about 2.2%, 22,570 for you. Needless to say, a record high. And every single stock, Maruti, Escorts, Tata Motors, Aisha, Hero Motors, Mahindra and Mahindra, ancillaries like Apollo Tires and of course Maruti are now in very good shape. Would you want to step in, Osho, for the 22,700 Nifty call expiring May 9th that we had just discussed?
Yes, the strike is now moving around the zone of 190, 95 odd levels. So it is looking very positive. But The question is that I am expecting that there can be some kind of consolidation or some kind of pressure as in terms of profit booking in Bank Nifty that can be seen. So that's why I am having a conservative approach. But again, I'm very much optimistic with Nifty because yesterday, as we have seen Bank Nifty testing a fresh lifetime high. So I'm also expecting that Nifty should follow the path in the coming 1 to 2 trading sessions. So I'm expecting that this should move on a very higher scale. So approximately 22,700 call option is a very lucrative strike to take for the timing. But again, there is a bit of confusion, and I will be waiting for another half an hour or 1 hour to see whether Bank Nifty is having witnessing some kind of profit booking or it is maintaining its positive stance. If it maintains, then one should definitely look to have the strikes of 22,700.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the Bank Nifty, whose weekly expiry has been pulled a day in advance, is flat as flat can be. Remember, it rose 1200 points yesterday in a single move, and since its most recent low, let me just say, I think it's moved 3,000 points. Let me just recheck this number and get back to you. The most recent low, ladies and gentlemen, was when it had touched its 100-day moving average, and that low was 46,580. 46,580 minus today's high is 49,500. That's exactly a 2,900 point move in a span of 4 plus 4, 8 days. So that's the kind of rally that has happened, and this is something that can also be, ladies and gentlemen, taken by the ETFs. I'll give you a very interesting example. This is what I do personally, that whenever you see 1,000 point drop on the Nifty, what we do is we just buy the SBI ETF. Let me just check those prices there as well. They take a bit of a time to load, and I'll show you how smartly and with zero risk you can make money. The Nifty ETF, ladies and gentlemen, has moved from a low of 228 to 237. There has been a sharper move in the Bank Nifty ETF, which I am sure is moved from a low of 471 to a high of 497. That's at least how riskless returns are made. Tata Motors 1019 and Trent 4645. No stopping them. Trent is now 8.58% higher. Needless to say, this is a record high powered by decent earnings that came in yesterday, and the volume is also pretty substantial. We've had about 16,61,000 shares traded in the first half an hour of trade, which is more than the 5-day average, and yesterday's volume was 23 lakhs. So about 75% of yesterday's volume is already done, and that's how Trent is moving. A very quick look at what else can I mark for you. Natco Pharma maybe 1029. Remember, Osho had pointed out the pharma sector as one of his plays for today on the long side. Any view on Natco Pharma, Osho?
Yes, again, Natco Pharma is also looking good, but it is having a very strong consolidation zone. Overall, the structure is positive because it is sustaining above the 21-day exponential moving average and hovering above the psychological mark of 1,000. So that is also providing a very strong support. So there can be a strong movement in this counter, but on the higher end, we have immediate resistance around the zone of 1,035 to 1,038. The time it breaches the same zone, we can expect a decent move in this counter. But overall, structure-wise, there can be a gradual movement that can be expected. Momentum still lacks, and until the momentum comes, it is better to have a broader view in this counter. On the broader view, approximately 1,080 to 1,070 is the target that one can expect for a, let's say, positional basis, 3 to 4 trading sessions. Overall, the structure is very positive. 1,000 should be acting as a support, and 1,080 should be the target for positional basis.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are now finished the first half an hour of trade, and let's look at volumes which are moving with the price. Like I said, it's the power space which is in action, and power ancillaries are doing very well. Kalpataru Power Limited (KPIL), fresh record high, almost 1240 for you, 6% higher, and we have 4x volumes, which is 10 lakh 16,000 shares. Canfin Homes, 2.7% higher and 2.7 times the 5-day average. These are earnings led. Trent, we have discussed many times. Already the 5-day average has been breached in the first half an hour of trade. Ditto for Poonawalla FinCorp, 494, 1.6 times the 5-day average. These are the stocks that are in the green. I would also look at CEAT, because we have a sectoral move coming into Apollo Tyres, JK Tyres, and CEAT is a high beta counter, 5.2% higher, 226.55. Osho, any view on CEAT Limited? 1,40,000 shares already traded.
See, overall, tire spaces are looking very positive. Apollo Tire will be my first prefer pick, but again, CEAT is also looking very positive with the momentum and with the volume that it has surged in today's session. I am expecting that this should obviously continue on the higher end. Again, 2700 should be seen as the first resistance or first target. The time it breaches the zone of 2700, then we can see a double bottom breakout in this counter, and on the higher end, I will be expecting another 300 point of rally. So approximately 2950 to 3000 should be seen as the positional target for CEAT Limited.
Okay, we'll draw the Maruti long-term chart for you, ladies and gentlemen. Last 4 days have been a mild bout of profit booking, but today the stock has shown resilience and strength, and the counter will change a digit, I'm very sure. 13,000 is what you will see, and let's see how it goes. But for the moment, this is the situation. Maruti is leading the rally on the entire auto index, and it's very, very ably supported by Tata Motors, Mahindra and Mahindra up 4%, Eicher Motors up 1.3%. Escort Slab, remember, you have to keep an eye out. This is the tractor maker with predictions of good monsoon. This one is likely to break out into a higher trajectory. Before we let Osho go, your view on Escorts Kubota. Okay, is this a record high? Not yet. The all-time high is 34.31, and we are at 33.52. Your view on this one, Osho?
See, Escorts has seen a very strong breakout around the zone of 32.50, which was the previous swing high. So from there onwards, in the last 3 sessions, there has been a strong upward rally or a continuation of the upward rally that was seen. But overall, on technical development, the counter have entered into a very strong overbought position. So there can be some kind of profit booking or cool off that can happen in this counter again, because it is approaching its lifetime high levels, and again 3400 being a psychological mark, there will be a strong writing positions that will be there present at 3400. So there can be some kind of resilience, but another 50 odd points movement can be seen in Escorts. But overall structure is positive. One should have an approach of buy on dip, which is approximately 3250, 3260 odd levels. On the higher end, 3400 should be seen as the target.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, before we end the show, I'll again mark the 22,700 Nifty call expiring on May 9th. The chart will be right there in front of you, because there has been a mild breakout on the Nifty, powered mainly by Reliance. The first resistance has been overcome at 22,720. That call is now 201 rupees. Remember, we caught it at 145 rupees. In a span of 15-20 minutes, a very strong move has come in. The next resistance for the Nifty is 22,794 on an intraday basis, and between then and now, which is 22,721, is the record high of the Nifty. If it breaks, then this call will rally very, very sharply. Let's look at the pullers and draggers which are driving the Nifty at this point of time. They are M&M contributing 20 points, Reliance now contributing 15, Maruti contributing 10, Tata Motors and Bajaj Auto 7 and 5 points respectively. I don't see any reason why you will not see a record high today. It's Reliance which is taking the move ahead, now 20 rupees higher, 29.50. Before we let you go, Osho, for the last time, Reliance, what are the charts telling you?
See, for Reliance, again, Reliance is struggling around the zone of 3000, because 3000 being a very strong resistance zone for Reliance. But on the lower end, again, it is having a very strong support of 50-day exponential moving average around 2900 levels. So there can be some kind of movement in between. It should hover in the zone of 2900 to 3000. But the time we are expecting Nifty to have a very strong breakthrough, again, Reliance can have a very strong follow-up of Nifty that can be seen. So I'm expecting the time it breaches the zone of 3000, then only we can witness another 150 to 160 odd points of upward rally in Reliance. But for the timing, 2900 to 3000 is the immediate range, and one should adapt an approach of buy the dips and sell on the rise.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the Reliance bounce today is from 21 EMA. That itself is a source of strength, and it is now moving fairly sharply. Giving strength to Reliance is again ICICI Bank. So the big boys have started to move. ICICI Bank is 4.5 rupees higher, 1164. Osho, thank you so much for your time. It's been lovely discussing the markets with you for the last 45 minutes. Have a great day, and we hope to see a fresh record high on the Nifty today. If not today, then of course on the weekly expiry. A breakout 22,740. I'm sure the call is now at 210 rupees. Thank you so much, Osho. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we will again revisit the call that I was talking about, and in a span of less than 1 minute, the call has now moved 10 rupees higher at 210. Again, I repeat, how to trap option movements in the shortest possible time via momentum is what you get to see on Business Today television. This is how the markets are structured. Let's wrap the show and then see how the record high will come today or maybe a day later on the Nifty. So the Nifty is now 94 points higher, 22,738. It's building on yesterday's very strong move on the index, 213 points. Also remember, it's 30th of April, the end of the month. A lot of NAV massaging will be happening within the mutual fund space, and that will also prop up the markets higher. Tomorrow is the first day of May. It's a holiday. Auto stocks are running up because they will report monthly numbers for the month of May. The run-up is happening earlier. We have a strong sense of move on the long side coming in on Tata Motors, 1.6% higher. Maruti is going to change a digit today, back to the 13,000 point levels. And of course, you have the entire auto space apart from Maruti and Tata Motors right there in the green. M&M is the top gainer on the Nifty as well as also on the auto index, 3.7% higher, 2138. Hero Motors 1.8% higher, 4539. Bajaj Auto 8910, up 1.7, and Tata Motors we've discussed, Eicher Motors we've discussed. It's a sea of green across the board, ladies and gentlemen. The F&O space is dominated by gainers such as, just a moment, I'll highlight those gainers for you. In the F&O space, you have Trent taking it away, 8% higher, 4665. You have Jubilant Foodworks 2.9% higher, 451. Petronet LNG 3% higher, 314, and of course the entire auto pack. Within the NSE 500, you have stocks such as Usha Martin 384.60, 7.5% higher. SEAT 5.7% higher, 2,664. You have moves coming into Schaeffler India 3.3% higher, 35.96. This, ladies and gentlemen, is how we leave the markets after the first 45 minutes of trade, in very, very strong shape, and fairly confident of reaching record highs on the Nifty and retaining the gains that we've made on the Bank Nifty. Please stay glued to Business Today television for all your news needs on the financial side. This is Shail and our PCR team signing off today. Nifty at its day's high, 22,737.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today TV. I'm Sakshi Batra. Well, this is the earnings special edition, and we are going to be focusing on